My name is Apostle Israel Pena, and I'm going to keep it brief for the sake of all those who will be speaking. Every dark moment has a morning, and this moment actually allows us to say good morning in a couple of minutes. The darkest days, or the darkest moment of the day, leads to the morning. And a lot of us are speaking certain things, and I want to touch on the undertone. What are we really saying? How are we really speaking? What are we really speaking right now? Like in the days of Nimrod, the Tower of Babel was being built, and it was in opposition of God. And as the tower was built, there were things that were being done, but it was based on communication. And we talk about love, but what is your language in love? Is the undertone still anger? Are you still speaking revenge? I believe that what's going to allow us to understand our purpose, understand what it is we need to do as a community, is understanding that the way God moved in reform was he caused everybody to speak a different language. His reform was to come down and say language change, and the reform was so immediate. Immediately everything shifted. What are you really saying? And I'm not talking about here in front of everyone. I'm talking about when you're at home. What are you saying at the table? What are you saying in your bedroom with your spouse? What are you really saying? For those words are really the words that are the roots that were being talked about. The roots come deeper and they're hidden, but yet the most important part of that tree is the roots. You can't see how deep the roots are. What's going on in hiding? What are you really saying? If we want to see this transformation we keep talking about and this change, we got to find out, what are we speaking? It is a self-inventory. It is us speaking to ourselves in the mirror saying, what are you really saying? Is there really love? Are you saying I love you? Or are you saying I love you? Which one is it? Do I love everyone or do I love everyone? Your disposition really indicates where your position is. How do you relay? And again, we got to measure ourselves, not in public, but in private. Measure yourselves. When you're at the table, are you saying, I love my white friend or my black friend, but at home you're saying something different? The Tower of Babel, that whole scenario changed instantly. Nimrod, his whole format was shifted immediately because the language was changed. If God saw it fit for that to be the way, the catalyst of motivation being that area, to understand that our language has to change. And it starts with communication. How are we communicating with one another? Are we really identifying with each other? Can we look at the person behind us, next to us, in front of us, and say, truly we are trying to make a difference? With this I conclude. There was a man by the name of Josiah in the Bible. And Josiah is probably, outside of Jesus, one of the greatest reformists. But his reform became reform because of a bad moment. You cannot determine greatness if there's no bad moment. A lot of the presidents of the United States, like Franklin Delano Roosevelt, is known today because he surfaced during a time of tribulation and problems. Josiah was a reformist because it was dark outside. And because it was dark, he rose up and he became that light. And do you know that if you take a match and you go into the darkest room, it lights up the whole room? So we are in a dark moment, but we can all be matches and light this moment up. It is up to us to identify with ourselves. And with this I leave. We go into our own private place. And in that private place, measure yourself. Measure whether or not you really are about reform or are you about revenge. They both start with R-E, but don't end the same. Reform or revenge? What's really in your heart? May God continue to bless you today. May he keep you. And may you measure what's in your heart.